What is going on, my friends? My name is Parker Andriese, DJ of 10 years and host of Behind the Energy podcast. I've been able to meet some pretty awesome people along the way, and we're bringing them on here to go behind the energy, sharing their stories, lessons learned, and shine light on some of their major milestones. If you're into DJing, the event industry, or entrepreneurship, I think you'll dig the show. I really appreciate you being here with me. Now that we've set the table, it's time to jump right in and get started with today's episode. Ladies and gentlemen, party people, it is, what's the date today? It's Monday, July 18th, 2022, and we are back at it with Behind the Energy podcast. This is episode 48, and I'm sitting on the couch with my man Logik. What's up, bro?
Yeah, what up? Excited to be here, man. Thank you for having me.
Finally happening. For a little context for our listeners, I was out on a run like 3 weeks ago, and I happened to pass by the Gateway, and my boy Logik was finishing up a yoga set.
Yes, sir.
Out at the Gateway. So we finally decided that I need to stop procrastinating and get him on the podcast. So alas, here we are. To provide a little bit more context for the listeners, and then we're going to jump right into it. Logik, we met through U92, and I think I joined the team tail end of 2017. And you were on the team, I know that before I had joined, as a street team mixer. But there were remotes, mixer meetings. Logik you're from California?
That's right.
Pasadena. Okay. Thank you. But now full-time, resident DJ here in Utah for, Boomerang, the Monarchs, correct?
I haven't done the Marks in a minute.
Okay.
But I do like some Real Salt Lake stuff.
Real Salt Lake, there we go.
Some Utah jazz stuff. Like flankers and the brunch spots, man. Those are starting to get hot.
Nick, did you realize just how casually he just is like, yeah, I do some Utah jazz stuff. Logik's the man, ladies and gentlemen. So with that being said, we've set the table. We're gonna jump into the conversation. Wow, dude, it's been a minute since we've sat on this couch and had a podcast. Jay, my friend, we're gonna take a minute and we're gonna talk about you and your introduction to DJing.
Damn, okay.
Yeah. So
this is going back, man.
So yeah, I want to take the next, 10, 15 minutes and hear from you, and then I'll like pick your brain and jump in every now and then.
All right.
What was the initial inspiration? What did
for
that
me,
look
man,
like?
was high school, like right beginning of high school. House parties, LA, Pasadena, just, somebody's moving out of their house before, the last weekend. Let's do a house party that weekend and charge, $5 at the door, blah, 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 and make some money. And then let's do a bigger one the next weekend. So
were you managing the music at the time? Or?
So when I started, man, there was like, everybody was a DJ, and it was all vinyl. Mm-hmm. So you show up with like 20, 30 records. Nobody has the same stuff. So it's always like a different vibe, different set. So listening to all these genres, listening to everybody just kind of be a part of that. Just, I wanted to do it more and more and more and more, and just stuck to it. And, actually, as a matter of time, one time I actually sold my turntables, and that was the most hurt I've been in a while, because I had to make rent, and I was just like a, young kid, and I just needed money. Sold them, and I promised myself never again, never gonna happen. But that was my start of DJing, just old school dudes, doing house parties, me being a part of that scene, and then just I wanted to be the one, making people happy.
You breezed through that very quickly as well. I'm gonna dive back in a little bit more. So when your friends would bring together vinyls and you were throwing these parties, like first 6 months of getting started, first year of like just throwing these parties, did you ever like misplace vinyl or lose vinyl, like kind of like Pokemon or Yu-Gi-Oh cards, like yo, you got my piece of, you got my vinyl or something like that?
I mean, definitely happens. The thing that you were most worried back then was just your vinyl warping.
Yeah, the temperature and stuff.
Yeah, the temperature just messes them up and stuff. So yeah, I mean, I would always lose vinyl, do a party, and couldn't find like a double of something, and it's just shit, got to go all the way to Venice Beach because that was the only record stores that they were there at the time. You know, there wasn't that many, so it's definitely not as easy as today. But
charging $5 cash at the door,
right? Hell
like
yeah,
that.
You got to charge these kids, man. Yeah. I mean, the scene wasn't how it is now, but you know, it's everybody always wants to party. That's something you can count on. Everybody always wants to go out, have fun, have a good time.
Did you have turntables at your house, like for listening to then buy the direct drive turntables? I had some
belt-driven techniques, man.
And you spun on those?
I did really? House parties on those. Yeah, man, I did some. You know, I mean, you had to do what you had to do. You know, some. I had an old like Radio Shack mixer that I started on, and I had like some like house speakers connected to the house amp. I mean, it was straight up house party shit. You know,
that's dope.
So that's just the love that I have for it. Even nowadays, like somebody hits me, yo, we're having a house party, I'll pull up, and I'll do
all in. Even if it's
it's my favorite thing because you just never know what you're gonna run into.
What was like? I guess like the difference between you and maybe some of those friends that came together and brought their music and helped facilitate the party, the vibe. You know, I guess what was different for you, or what did you realize in that time frame that made you think like, hey, I actually want to do more of this? Like this is something I'm finding a lot of joy and happiness in. I want to continue investing in this. Right.
Yeah. I mean, you said it. It's just you find joy in it. You know, you get paid to do something you love. Not a lot of people could say that nowadays. You know, so a lot of DJs that are doing this, you know, full time and are loving every single experience, whether it's a good one or a bad one, they're learning from it. That's just kind of what it was for me, just trying to learn more and more and just, you know, how can I be better and better every time. And
did you have any mentors or like any other local DJs that I guess you looked up to? Or
no, for me it wasn't like that. I had some friends that DJ'd and a lot of them were playing like just stuff that I really wasn't into, but they had like, you know, skills and the equipment and everything. So I was around that, and that's where house music came from for me. That's where I started on all vinyl house music, and then it was, you know, into like a hip hop set, and then I was introduced very young to a radio show in LA called Power Tools, which is Richard Vision back then, Richard Humpty Vision, and Bad Boy Bill, and like all these, you know, all these DJs would just come and just do sets there, and that was just every Saturday night, you know, I would listen to it. When you
weren't working, or maybe coming home from an event on the radio or something.
Yeah, man. That's just what I did, just to hear the new music, just to hear how, you know, good these people were, you know, getting and their sets. Just it was just inspiring and stuff. So,
as you're explaining this, you're taking me back to my conversation I had with Bang. Bangarang was on here, and he's telling me how, like, you know, when he wasn't working, he would be listening on air to hear these DJs spin live. Like,
yeah,
even not that long ago, like that was even so much more, I feel, of like not a treat, but like such a rad thing as a DJ or like a younger, earlier DJ, because, you know, you didn't have access to all these mixes or, you know, like TikTok or Reels or whatever, where you could see, you know, live talented DJs literally by opening your cell phone.
Right.
But like waiting for their time, their slot on air, and then only listening.
I mean, that's
different time.
Yeah. I mean, shout out Bang, by the way. But yeah, he's right. You know, listening to some of these guys that you look up to, or maybe you just respect their skills, and maybe, you know, they're new friends, or, you know, people you've known for a while, and you could just tell, like, you know, some of these guys, like, they're just all they do is practice. So it just makes you want to do better. And when you hear them like doing their thing live, it's just like, damn, like
that much more motivated.
Yeah, hell yeah,
to get dialed in and put more time and work in.
Exactly.
So I imagine right now we've talked about like 16 through like 19, 20. Did you then kind of start transitioning more into radio, or was that more clubs or doing private events? Like what was kind of the next step as you grew your library, if you will, and you started playing more events more frequently?
I mean, yeah, right after like the high school days, I actually, you know, started a family. So I kind of took a pause. I was still DJing. There was still, the setup at my house and everything. And I was still doing like, private events and weddings and parties like that for friends and family. But it wasn't like a full-time job. It was more like on the side, but still like a passion of mine. Like that's what I wanted to be doing rather than going to like the regular 9 to 5 type of shit, you know?
Yeah, paying the bills.
Yeah.
I got you. Okay, I'm actually going to take a quick step back. When you did get that understanding, this is where you want to spend more time, say tail end of high school, early 20s, what were your visions or intentions for DJing? Like, where did you see yourself 5-10 years down the road?
I mean, for me, it was just how far can I get in this and can I make a comfortable living with it? I didn't really see myself like being like like a celebrity DJ or anything like that. I mean, if it happened, great, but that wasn't my goal. Was more like in the business side of it. Like, how can I grow this business and then, just do bigger and better things and work smarter, not harder. You know what I mean? Like, instead of doing like a bunch of little house parties, I was doing a big ass event, and that was like helping me just grow my business and put more money back into my business. So the goal for me has always been just, doing bigger things, I guess. Bigger
things in the private event industry, but also maybe a little bit more unique events, if you will.
Yeah, I mean, radio was always a goal, and shout out E-Rock, he put me on and give me a chance. And then I was doing some live stuff on the air too and doing remotes. And that's actually, like you said, like we met. And I've met a lot of homies through the station too. So that was one of the things that I felt really accomplished once it happened. Just because, I mean, any DJ, I think, being on the radio is like, a dream, like a big deal. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I never even spun on air. Like, I think I spoke on air twice, and like they'd shout me out whenever I was doing a remote. But like, even that affiliation and just what I was able to learn is like a fly on the wall. Like, that was and still is so badass for me. I don't know that I'll personally ever like do more work in the radio sector, if you will. But what you're describing makes sense. We're at a point now, like, I'm curious, what was the transition to Utah like? What's the next step in the story, if you will?
All right. So, in LA, like I said, I was DJing out there. And then, with my family, we decided to move here. I have 3 older brothers, and like,
are you
I'm the youngest out of 4 boys. Yeah.
Okay.
And there's, like 13 other grandchildren in the family. So my kids wanted to be around their cousins. So we came out here for that.
Sorry, real quick, I'm going to interject. Are your 3 other brothers, are any of them entrepreneurs by chance?
They all have like businesses on the side, but they also have their regular.
Interesting.
Yeah, they're doing good. That's all that matters, that they're happy and in their lives and stuff. So
I asked that because I feel like the nature of like the entrepreneurial spirit is a unique one, in that it kind of can run in the family. And just
I'm the black sheep though, man.
The level of business
I'm the black
that we
sheep out of the family. I'm the one who walks in like, oh, here he is again.
As am I, and I love it.
He looks hungover again.
No, you just only had 4 hours of sleep because you were working, and then you're up working.
That's exactly what I tell him.
Yeah. Okay, sorry, I'm done interjecting. You wanted to be here with the family, and
yeah, I mean, my kids wanted to come here. Yeah, I wanted to be here. Okay. I actually funny story is that I had moved here right out of high school. I had came to Utah.
Why?
Because we left. We moved from Pasadena, and my older brother had bought a house here, and he wanted my mom to come here. So I came here right out of high school, and not to be mean or anything, but I looked around and I was like there was nothing. Like, there was like a record store downtown.
Is the same one still there?
No, hell no.
Okay.
It's gone.
Okay.
And I don't even know that. I mean, all I did was work. I was a server actually at the spaghetti factory.
The old spaghetti factory.
Yeah, the one at Trolley Square. So all I did was work and go back to my brother's house, work, and I was like, hell no. Like, I bought a one-way, plane ticket to LA, and I out.
Did you immediately get an apartment or? Like,
yeah, I went and I got a spot down there with my friend, and that's when we just kept DJing more and more. Anyway,
interesting.
So I was in Utah before any other stuff, but then we came back when I had a family, and was working a lot, doing a lot of stuff like computer tech stuff like that, networking stuff like that, and then just the DJ it just never stopped. You know what I mean? I was always attracted to that. So for me coming to Utah, it was, I mean, you just don't come to Utah and start DJing, like unless you know somebody or you put in work. For me, it was networking. Like I went around for like a year and a half and I hit up all the spots, Park City, downtown.
You talking venues, clubs,
everything, supporting everything. And that was a goal that I had in order for me to get in, somebody give me a shot. So shout out Chad England, by the way, at Soundwell now.
Really?
He's the first one to give me a shot.
That's awesome.
And I think I did New Year's at Elevate. E-Rock was on one side, and then I was on the hotel side.
Really?
And that was that was
one of the first events being back here in Utah.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Okay.
I remember that night. It was dope.
That is dope. Okay. I feel like we're kind of still breezing by a few things. Give me just a second to collect some of my notes here. This question crossed my mind. Talk to me about the difference in terms of California, Pasadena, Salt Lake in like music interests and reading crowds, and even private events. Because I feel like that could be a whole conversation in its own.
Yeah, I mean, it's
maybe private events. I feel like that's probably more appropriate. Like, how do they differ?
Private events actually are not that different.
Really?
Like if you've done a high end, Park City event, it's kind of like the same thing out there. You're just somewhere out in the middle of nowhere too. Some sort of like wine venue or, wedding venue or something like that. But it's pretty much the same. Music wise, there is more diversity out there, so out here you get a lot more of the.
Give me some examples.
You know what I'm talking about, man. We're
Party in the USA, September.
Yeah, exactly.
Cupid Shuffle. Justin Bieber.
All that shit, Out there you'll get some of that too, but I mean, it's more of like old school, like hip hop, Biggie and some Dr. Dre and shit like that, some East Coast, West Coast stuff. Out here, it's more of top 40 pop.
Yeah.
Yeah. Unless it's like specific. They book you for a specific thing.
Dude, how fun is it to work with a couple that like is so down for like some solid hip hop?
Man, you know
how
what?
How fun is it, bro?
It's pretty fun, but I think that's where everything's going now in weddings. Like most of these couples, they want to party. They don't want like a regular reception where nobody's dancing. Like they want like a club. They want like lights. They want to do all this. And that's kind of where it's turning into, a lot of mobile DJs I see now are becoming like club DJs, like party DJs, party rocking DJs.
And incorporating more of that in their service, their performance.
Exactly.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and I think it's dope because it just, I mean, there's so much work in Utah that it's just everybody can get into that. You know what I mean?
Sorry, I'm looking at my notes.
No,
but
you're good.
No, I totally agree. I'll be honest, when I was younger, like I'm talking 17, 18, 19, I turned 27 over the summer. Like I was so hungry for opportunities to spin. Granted, like my DJing, I wasn't nearly as established. The company wasn't established, and so I wasn't DJing as much, but like I jumped on any opportunity and, was booking at a much, much, much lower rate. And I didn't see that, or didn't have that understanding that there is plenty of work and opportunities around for all of us DJs. I didn't have that impression until probably 21 years old. 21,
That's okay, man. But as long as you find it, as long as you find it, you acknowledge it, and then you build your company towards like that and more, offer different scales of packages, I guess I would say.
Or narrow in to like be with that ideal client. Back to that point earlier, if there happens to be any couples out there that want to have an absolute freaking party at their wedding,
DJ Live right here, let's go.
Logik with
DJ
a K.
Live right
Wasn't planning on doing that.
I like how you hype me up, bro. I gotta hype you right back.
Wasn't planning on doing that plug, but straight up, I've honestly thought about like this new like simple marketing tactic of like doing like quick transition edits of like 5 or 6 tracks and be like, yo, if you want this kind of energy at your wedding, like hit me up.
Yeah.
Like, you know how DJs are like, add these top bangers or like tracks for your new workout playlist on TikTok or whatever.
Yeah.
Like doing that, but through the lens of like, if you want your wedding to be like this, we'd be
hit me up.
We'd be a good fit. Anyways, I digress in going off topic. Okay, so Jay, I think right now an appropriate time to where we're at with the conversation right now is to kind of like get an understanding of where you're at in terms of like frequency in your current DJing right now, some spots you're playing right now, and then I'd love to hear a little bit more about like where you think your sweet spot is, or like where the kind of environment or music you really love to play at private events or like perform. That was a lot. So what I'm asking is, what does current DJing look like? And that's, spots, locations, types of events. And then where do you feel as if you really shine as a DJ and as a performer? Like, what's the atmosphere, the music that you absolutely love to bring to the table if it was your set?
Okay.
Is that a little more?
Yeah, that's fine.
Clear?
I got the first one too.
Okay.
I mean, right now I'm just doing just some spots that I've been doing for a minute now. Sundays best is a brunch spot. Doing Saturdays and Sundays there. It's like a 5.5 hour set. So it's, it's nice. It's nice to have fun with it because I play literally everything. And it's just a brunch vibe. Like sometimes they want to party, sometimes they want to just chill. But, they give me the opportunity to just basically just do me.
They give you that freedom.
Yeah, they give me that. Actually, everywhere I go, they give me that freedom now. It's pretty nice. Because I felt like I was doing flanker right at the Gateway where you're going to be this Thursday, by the way. And at first, going into it, they had said they wanted this. And, we're going to aim it at this direction. But then once I got there and I did it, they were like, you're good.
We trust you.
Yeah. So now when I do it, every time I do it, they don't even tell me anything.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I mean, as far as vibes, I've done country stuff. I've done like pop stuff. I've done house. I've done hip hop. And I wherever the people are vibing out, having a good time and dancing, and like they give me that energy and I give it right back to them. That's kind of like where I like to be at. As far as like my preference of what I like, I like house, that, like we talked about this. I started in house. I started with some, old school EDM and stuff. So I love that. I love, like scratching and turntablism and all that shit too. So hip hop's always been, something that I thrive into. So any of that, I'm good. I'm good to go.
What I got out of that is just incredibly wide range, open format. Read the room and provide the energy as it comes your way. Yeah,
I mean, open format. I think it's a lot of people don't like to be called open format DJs. They just like to be. Yeah, I've had some old school DJs that are like, open format. What is that? And I'm like, well, that means you could just rock a party, play like anything, everywhere, just about
anything.
Yeah, and that's actually what you get a gig and you show up and you prepare for this crowd, and there's like a whole different crowd. Like, what are you gonna do? You gotta adjust. You gotta be ready to go. And if you don't have that in your crates and your
organization,
if you're not ready to go, then you know what I mean. So I think I like doing stuff like that because I'm prepared for a lot of different things when I go out somewhere. I mean, are you still preparing your sets?
Yes. Yeah.
From songs from 1 all the way till you close your set? Or do you have like folders of like kind of like where you're digging out?
Folders for sure. But like for my 10-year, for example, I put about 15 hours in terms of like finding the right songs and then refining the list, placing the order, organizing the order. So like even for flanker on Thursday, I'll probably have 60% of the tracks that I want to spin organized, and then I will pick and pull from multiple other folders.
Hell yeah.
So I really hit the sweet spot or the feel that I want to give off and communicate. But then I also leave breathing room for like reading the crowd and adjusting, if that makes sense. You've been doing this for a minute.
Yeah, dude, so. I like that too. I mean, I go into like that too. You know, certain nights is like we're gonna go in this direction. Great, so I'm preparing for that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm also prepared for this, and this night. You know, just in case. Because I've been doing Boomerangs, another spot that I do downtown, and it's mostly just house, like tech house, bass house, G house, future house, you know, like stuff like that. But then you'll get like a big group that comes in and they're like play like Mo Bamba, and then play like, you know, all this other stuff that's like all hip hop, and you got to go
different,
and you got to go in that direction. But then you bring them right back, you know.
Then you pull them back in.
Yeah. So that's what I like. I like playing around with all that stuff and just, you know, giving the crowd just, you know, some bang. You say it all the time, some bangers.
Bangers, bro.
Yeah.
I gotta shout out my boy Elliot Brown. Bangers only, baby. Oh God, yeah, there's a whole wormhole there, but we don't need to get into it. Yeah, man, no, I mean, like, in terms of bangers, like, that's a broad term and it's kind of a joke, but like the sound that, like, when I get to play my own stuff, like, I'm not playing for a client or, you know, it's not a certain type themed event.
Yeah.
Like, my personal sound, the Alive sound, the Parker sound is like, think high energy electronic with a little bit of like pop or hip hop incorporated. And that to me is like, that's
Utah.
That's the banger energy that's Utah.
That's Utah, bro. That's the Utah market right there.
Yeah.
You know?
So, yeah.
I mean, it's good though. You know it. Like, you understand it. You know what I mean? Like, your craft. I saw a video that you were like mixing really fast. I think it was like 5 songs. And it's like,
oh yeah,
dude,
yeah,
that was nice.
Yeah.
I like that. You're like scratching and everything. I was like, oh shit.
Trying to.
Like Alive. Look at him.
Hey. I did a couple takes on that. I'll tell you that.
That's all right. It looks nice though. Sounds good.
Thank you. Jay, I'll be honest, bro. I feel like we kind of breezed through your time spinning like pretty quickly. As like a high schooler, you know, leaning into your dream, your passion, and also supporting a family and moving to a different state, and opening a lot of doors to some new opportunities, playing in some regular spots, places. Is there like perhaps a big takeaway that you've really learned that has leveraged your success over the years in being a very dynamic DJ?
You know what? Yeah, I would say just being an all around just good person, like having that mentality that, you know, yeah, you're gonna be DJing, but like for me, the DJ game, you know, there's 100% of it, but like 70% of that is talking to the clients and dealing with the background stuff. 30% is you DJing and doing the work and, you know, setting up and all that. But like 70% of it is you have to be a good person. You have to know how to communicate with clients. You have to learn, you know, like who's in charge of certain venues, who's doing bookings. So for that, you got to put in a lot of work, networking, you know, meeting people and just, you know, delivering a professional product.
Did you have a resource or a person that, you went to for guidance or support, or
no.
Was it a lot of it trial by error for yourself?
It was me going out there and like, this doesn't work, this works, you know, blah, blah, blah. It's like, I wish I had somebody like that, but I didn't. Yeah. I had to like figure it out all on my own. And it took a little bit longer, but, and I'm not there, you know, I'm sure I could talk to some of these guys that have been doing it longer than me, or have like full on businesses, you know, like bigger than mine or whatever. And I'm sure those guys could just, you know, teach you so much that you don't know. And that's what I like. That's why I listen to your podcast. I'm like a sponge,
bro.
You know, take this.
Always a student.
You gotta be, man. You gotta be. You know, you gotta be humble. You gotta be able to learn from the young guys, from the old guys, from, you know, from the client feedback.
Yeah.
You know, I'm really big on that. How was everything? You know, how's this going? You know, things like that. So, client feedback is always great because it just helps you, you know, not only deliver a better product, but you're also charging more money because you are paying for somebody's experience. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm curious, have you ever gone to any like DJ conferences in your time? Or like done any form of like coaching or anything like that?
if I have taken some coaching.
Yeah, coaching or conferences, anything like that.
It was mostly like just, friends that were just older and they were doing it too. They were doing a lot more than I was. I was just asking them a lot of questions and learning from them, but it wasn't like a consistent thing. We never really kept in touch, or people got busy and people got married. So, went separate ways, but I always try to learn from people. But no, I never went to like any conferences or anything like that. I need to. Bro, I see you were like in Vegas and like, weren't you like in like Boston or something, or I don't know where you were, but you were like
Chicago.
Oh, okay.
Chicago. Yeah. I had to think about that. I've gone out east very few times in my life.
So what do you feel like you've taken something that's helped you, or it's just you're listening to shit like you already know? I already know this. Like I already know that. I already know this. Like
this is my total honest answer. I've been to 3 conferences so far, and I've had more fun than I have. Like my priorities were more focused on the fun than it was on the education.
Yeah.
But there have been some golden nuggets I've pulled away. I guess the 2 big things though that I say that I've learned is, one, just learning about other DJs and what they're doing in different markets, different states.
Yeah.
And then just like, so essentially networking, if you will. And not that it's directly supported my DJing or my company, thus, if you will, but more so like just having a better understanding of, the service that I'm providing, and I guess quoting or executing with a higher level of confidence. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
So absolutely. What I'm doing that I think maybe I'm not doing so great on, I'm actually kicking ass here in Utah, or something like that, if you will. But I'm going to another one, and it's a pretty new conference. I think this is the 3rd or 4th year. It's where's it at? It's called the DJ Collective. Brian Bonacisi, Joe Bunn, and Jason Janai are the 3 creators of it, if you will. And it's like the premium high end, like 100% committed, like highest performing DJs and companies across the U.S. And
that's dope.
Honestly, I'm kind of intimidated because like these guys are like idols of mine, but also it's like I'm so stoked because I'm gonna be a sponge. I'm gonna put more priority on like the education than the fun, but it's gonna be a lot of fun
with the notepad and the pencil.
Because dude, you get 100 DJs or 200 DJs together, and like you're just gonna have one hell of a time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's dope, man.
So like when you had your cipher, for example, take that and times it by 30 or 50.
I love getting together with other DJs, man. You know what? My favorite thing is getting together with other DJs and not actually mixing, but sharing stories and talking about like sets and like things that we've, experienced, and just stories about DJing, because that's just, you get it, as a DJ, you understand what they were going through that day, because we've probably all been through, like, we were just talking about like maybe like a upset client, or like, like a grandma that wants to hear certain songs. Like, just there's certain stories out there that DJs, I'm like, oh, okay, yeah, I've had one of those too. I've been there. So having like an open discussion, like a round table almost with other homie DJs, when we're not actually like scratching and doing whatever, but we're sitting down, having like some good food, some good barbecue, and just sharing those stories that's what I like. I like the DJ time.
Well, you probably saw it coming. We don't have good food, but we have Red Bulls. Cheers.
Cheers, man.
We're going to end this episode on a... dude, I'm telling you, the coconuts...
That's vodka, by the way.
No, it's not. Let me be 100% clear. It's a Monday. We're going to end this on an open table with the 2 of you, or with the 2 of us. Oh, my God. Nick Nord.
He did welcome me by saying, welcome to Fun Day Monday.
I did not.
Yes, you did.
No, I didn't. I
was
never...
parking. You're like, Logik.
Oh,
it's Monday Fun Day. And I was like, okay.
Maybe I did. I don't know.
Levels all the way up today.
We're
I'm just messing with him.
What's the topic? Is it the craziest thing? Is it like the scariest thing? Is it like the wildest thing? Sharing a story. I want to hear a story from you, and then I'll share a story of mine.
Like a craziest time I've had, like DJ?
As a DJ, yeah.
Oh,
or the
man.
funniest, or like...
I don't think I could talk about that here, bro.
Something you're maybe super proud of, or like, I
had to sign a couple NDAs before, so like...
Oh my God.
Like...
For this huge audience that we got, yeah.
Hey, I listen all the time.
What?
I mean, I've done some stuff, man, where like I showed up and like it was like a big party, and like when I got there, like it was like, it was already going and stuff. But I remember that when I looked down at where I was mixing, it was somebody had breaking down the door of like one of the bedrooms and put it on top of these 2 like big ass kegs.
That was your table?
And the turntables were on there. And as we were DJing, I think I played I think it was like Benny Benassi's Satisfaction or something.
Yes.
And they crashed into it and they knocked everything down. And luckily it wasn't mine, but I just looked at it like
who's paying for that?
Yeah. Well, we picked it up, put it back together, and kept going. So, have you ever had your equipment knocked down at you?
I had my laptop knocked off.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, it's the worst.
Yeah, bro. It's
the worst, man. But
were the kegs empty?
No. Shit was everywhere, bro.
That's terrible.
It was all sticky on the floor and shit. I mean,
What kind of party was it?
It was like a frat party.
It was a frat party?
Yeah.
Was it at a frat house?
Yeah, it was a frat house party.
Was that here in Utah?
No.
Okay. Huh.
But it's a fun night, man. Those are the nights that like make me smile,
Yeah.
Those are the nights that I'm like, damn, like those are... I need some of those, we were just talking about
Every
this.
now and then, layer them in.
You do the same basic wedding, corporate spots. But then you need that ratchet shit sometimes, You need that club popping stuff where you just...
Some cyclone.
He says cyclone.
Yeah, some heavy hitting stuff, bro. That club popping stuff. That's what's popping. Do you not like that song? It's a good song.
I want to see him popping when Cyclone comes on next time.
Well, Run It. That, I mean, I use that as an example. That's
some more breezy.
Like that kind of stuff is like All-Star. Where we All-Star by Smash Mouth. Shout out all my Shrek fans out there right now. We totally just got derailed. I don't know if you know this, I was in a fraternity.
Were you?
I lived in a fraternity house for 2 years.
Shit.
Yeah.
I can't picture that because when I met you, you were
making good decisions.
You were choosing the right, bro. Now you're choosing the left a little bit,
Welcome to Behind the Energy podcast, baby. Dude, playing some of those parties was... So we had here's the story. We had an impromptu. I played an impromptu set. I think I got home from DJing like a private event, and it was I think Halloween weekend, and my fraternity was throwing a party, and I saw so many people start filing, and I'm like, there's no way I'm gonna let this potential go down the drain. Like, you're not gonna play, a playlist on shuffle and skip halfway through the song. Like, this could be legendary.
Yeah.
So I grabbed my my SZ and my laptop, and when I joined the fraternity, they had a EV powered speaker system, 2 subs and 2 tops, and I think 1 or 2 of them were blown. So it was like it was just beat up, bro. And I ended up stacking them because they didn't even have speaker pulls, like stacking them so you could get elevated and reach many people as possible. Well, we set up on the main floor. It was absolutely packed. And matter of fact, my laptop fell off that night as well. It's happened to me twice. And someone tripped over the speaker cable, and the 2-way speaker, the only one that was still working, was ripped out and fell down on the ground just because how wild it got. So it was
I like how you laugh when you say that. That shit felt.
The thing that's sad is that, like,
was it your equipment?
No, it was the house's. I laughed because, like, that gear had been treated so poorly for so long, and I'm the kind of dude that, like, takes extra care of my stuff 9 times out of 10.
Same.
So yeah, it is what it is. Anyways, it was a fun night.
Sounds fun, dude.
It was a good night.
Frat parties are crazy though, man. There's just, just different vibe. But
Jordan Belfort, that was a banger. All Night Longer, Sammy Adams.
Damn.
Those are some like
you going in
fraternity anthems. Anyways, ladies and gentlemen, we're gonna do another story exchange for part 2. Did I say this is 47, Nicholas Nord? I think this is 47. Up behind 48. This is 48. I think it's episode 48. We'll figure it out when this is released.
I feel like you do that every podcast. Like, what episode is this?
I
number 1. Okay,
you do listen to the podcast, right?
I do.
I appreciate it.
We need to get him like a number. Like he's over here throwing gang signs and shit. Like, what? 40 what?
This is episode 48 with Logik part 1, because we're going to come back next week for part 2 of Behind the Energy podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, muchas gracias. If you're listening from another state or even from another country and or continent, thank you. That is so freaking awesome. We have listeners in all continents.
Hell yeah.
And
what up?
I think over 200 cities, which I don't understand, but
that's dope.
Thank you for listening to Behind the Energy podcast. I'm going to stop rambling so we can jump on to part 2 with my man Logik. Until next time, hasta la vista. That is a wrap. Thank you for listening and going behind the energy with me. If you loved it, thumbs up it. You can follow me on social media at Parker Andriese and check us all out at bringingtheenergy.com. As for now, we are signing off, and I'll catch you next week for another episode. Peace.